my first press conference. You guys are a bunch of vicious bastards. Man, here's the way you guys talk. I want to go down there and punch all you in the face. Jesus Christ, you guys are mean.
Allen. Strickland trying to end it, and he does. Sean Strickland. Wow.
And you don't want this guy's a champion.
Do something about it.
You don't want this guy as a champion.
Do something about it then.
Bro, anything.
Do something about it.
I will walk outside with you right now. Listen, bro, you're going to break a now. Calm down.
I'll break your face. I'll break your face. I'll break my nail in your face.
This man, Alex, get
Hey, mate.
Come on, Jack. Come on, Jack.
I think Strickland wants to fight.
You know, if it wasn't UFC, I'd probably be cooking meth in a trailer in prison, so.
I'm going to be the best champion you've ever seen. Let's go.
We can all agree that a professional fighter has to be a bit insane to willingly participate in a sport like MMA. But even amongst this rare breed of men, there are some individuals that go over the top, even by fighter standards. Today, we will take a closer look at one of the most outspoken personalities in MMA, Sean Strickland. In just a couple of interviews, you may decide that Strickland is a true psychopath.
The issue that I have, right, the dongle, the valve, it doesn't work. So what you gotta do, is you just gotta reach in there.
But more likely, he is just honest to death, something very few people today can claim. His usual fighting style can't be further from his personality. As much as Tarzan loves to fight, he usually does it with calm and collected precision, executing a basic but extremely effective volume-oriented striking style, a style that is entirely built on top of his world-class jab. Love him or hate him, Sean Strickland is undoubtedly a personification of the word fighter and is someone you cannot help but tune in to watch. Sean Strickland entered the UFC as a middleweight with a lot of hype, riding on an undefeated 13-fight win streak, of which only 2 came via a decision. We can safely say Sean lived up to the hype as he needed less than 1 round to choke out Bubba McDaniel and start his UFC career with a bang.
And doing a pretty good job.
Oh, now he's teeing up on Bubba. Bubba's in great position. Done. Bubba is in all sorts of trouble.
30
right
seconds.
Under the
Trying to finish it.
That
is all over.
Beautiful
Sean
job.
Strickland.
23 years of age. This is what we got. This is the future.
This is indeed.
Man, I've been waiting 10 years to step foot in this cage. You guys, I can't express to you how amazed I feel. Thank you, Texas, for letting me come fight here.
We can never let 13-year-olds fight, so of course you had to wait 10 years, my friend.
Strickland's second UFC bout was far from exhilarating, but he did show his solid fundamentals, which eventually carried him to the top of the UFC. He used his crisp jab, precise low kicks, and well-timed head movement to win the nod from 2 of the judges and a second UFC win. Despite his success at middleweight, Strickland decided to go down a weight class and squared off against Santiago Ponzinibbio in front of the always ecstatic crowd in Brazil. The bout quickly turned into a real fight, and both men landed some heavy leather under the roaring cheers.
Oh, look at this, he just dropped him, caught him off balance.
Harping on the conditions, big kick lands, at least partially for Ponzinibbio.
Oh, big right hand. There it is again.
Sean managed to better use his range in the second, and still connected with a few tomahawks. Strickland's great jab was not enough to hold off the aggression of the Argentinian, and he had to come to terms with losing for the first time in his career.
Santiago
Strickland was back on the preliminary card for his next fight, which he won in a dominating fashion against Igor Araujo. A caught kick from Sean started the trouble for Araujo, who managed to get back on his feet only to suffer a Strickland flurry that nearly ended the fight. He somehow managed to survive the round, but Sean always seemed only a shot away from delivering the KO. He seemed content to fight patiently and use his superior jab and distance management to pepper his opponent with punches and cruise to a landslide decision. The shorter Alex Garcia decided not to try and maneuver around Strickland's reach and shot for a takedown early on, only to find himself smothered on his back for most of the round, even though he managed to reverse the position at one point.
And he's able to reverse position and get on top. Ooh, big right hand.
His new tactic in the second was to wing overhands as hard as he could, in contrast to Strickland's tight and technical striking.
You know, when you know you're giving up tremendous reach and you've got to close distance.
Strickland found himself on the mat yet again in the third, but once the fight got back into striking range, his volume proved too much for the fading Garcia.
And there it is, and easily defended by Sean Strickland. And it goes right back to working that jab. Garcia may be hurt here. Looks a little wobbly on those legs, and he is.
Sean Strickland now searching for the finish.
Garcia's hurt bad. Strickland,
Garcia's down! Sean Strickland with a massive KO! Here with your winner, Sean Strickland. Congratulations, 6 days shy of your 25th birthday, your most complete performance inside the octagon. How you feeling about your performance tonight, man?
Man, every day I get in this cage, I feel better. Training feels better, the crowd was great. This feels like my home. I love it. The crowd fires me up, I want to go again.
After an uneventful fight against Tom Breeze, where he utilized his strong jab to win a split decision, he would face future welterweight king, Kamaru Usman. In his own words, Strickland remembers having no chance against the Nigerian. In his typical fashion, Kamaru plowed through Strickland and utilized his otherworldly wrestling to win a unanimous decision. Strickland used his crisp long punches and precise distance control against Court McGee. The fight got fired up late in the third, but Sean couldn't get the finish. The result was initially declared a draw, but after a mistake in the calculations was found, it was turned into a split decision win for Strickland. Strickland's third professional loss came against Elitzeyu Zaleski dos Santos. The lifelong capoeira practitioner launched an incredibly timed spinning heel kick that almost completely shut off Sean. While the kick did not finish the job, a few more punches sealed the deal just a few moments later. Strickland had to make a strong impression in his final fight of his contract, and he did just that against Nordine Taleb. In the opening stanza, Strickland answered with a straight punch to every Taleb low kick. The game continued until he dropped him with a heavy overhand.
Any good tri-star fighter's got a wicked power double, especially if he's under this kind of... Oh!
Big right from Strickland!
Sean entered into Tarzan mode and left his usual calculated punching in favor of more powerful punches. But he still kept his distance control despite the seemingly reckless punching. A few more sharp rights, and Taleb was on the ground and on his back, on the receiving end of a deadly barrage.
It's got to be the finish. Taleb's trying to reach up and control, but
just like that.
Big right direct shots here.
Another one as Strickland goes down, and that's it.
TKO, Sean Tarzan Strickland.
No, really what it was, this was my last fight of my contract, like the other guy said. So I knew I had to kind of sack up a little bit and step in and hit. I see my lifetime of work going out the window, so that was my adjustment.
In his return from a nasty incident that kept him away from the octagon for 2 years, Sean made the headlines, despite being buried halfway on the prelims. Once again back at middleweight, Sean demonstrated his further polished skill of keeping his opponents right on the end of his punches.
oh wow, nice counter right cross from Strickland. Heavy right hand, and then once again, 18. So here he is 2 years later to the week. The dust settled, it was a knee injury. Doctor said, attack from...
Jack Marshman defended most of those punches with his face, but kept fighting nonetheless.
Of Strickland, friends razz each other from time to time.
And as we saw, he was on his feet halfway through the round.
Strickland with another 1-2.
A few dozen punches later, Strickland turned up his smack-talking game, clearly audible in the silence of the apex.
Instructions there.
That's the beauty of no crowd.
Right.
In which Strickland showcased his inimitable sense of humor and basic but very effective striking style.
Come on, Jack, we're fighting for the system.
Sean's landing the bigger shots.
To Marshman's credit, though, he did try to get the KO until the very end, despite the hopelessness of the task.
You bring some fucking heat to your rounds. Bro, you just can't fall. Why don't you fall?
I hit Nordine with Apple, I hit you with...
They don't fall like that, Brendan. Oh, he nearly did there, though.
Jack, we're not gonna get a performance if you keep fucking not going down. Don't kick, Jack.
Head strike.
I knew you seen it coming.
Oh, man, goes up with a kick.
1 minute. You got 1 minute to get the knockout.
I'll give you a chance to win. Just go hard.
I told you.
Come on, Jack. Come on, Jack.
Think Strickland wants to fight?
5 seconds, Jack. Jack, why is your head made of steel? Tell me, what do you do? Is it the military? Yeah. Once I got you mad, bro, you came at me and you kept following up.
Sean Tarzan Strickland.
Oh, man, I know I joke about me dropping out of high school and like this is all I do, but whenever I first had my accident, I had a lot of doctors. Every doctor I spoke to was telling me that, hey, you can fight for sure, but you probably shouldn't fight. So the hardest thing was just kind of telling these doctors to shut up, like you don't know what I can or can't do. Oh yeah, no, I mean, it would coming down. I mean, I remember waking up, going into surgery off my bike, having the surgeon, like, I started crying, not crying because, like, I wasn't crying because of pain or anything, I couldn't feel anything. I was crying because when you're hearing a surgeon saying, hey, you're in a motorcycle accident, I just seen, like, my dreams just drift away. That was one of the hardest things. And after 12 weeks, you know, you start building yourself back up. You'll be good in 6 months, and you talk to a doctor, and they're like, whoa, hey, you're still missing part of your kneecap. You still have a complete tear in your quad. And they start telling you all these things, and you're like, well, you can get it fixed, but you'll be out for a minimum of another 2 years. Like, no, I can't afford to be out for another 2 years. Like, humans are capable of so much, and the problem is we let so many people tell us what we can and cannot do. Man, you could do anything. You just got to man up or woman up and do it, you know? You can do anything.
Sean kept the train rolling after his stellar performance and returned to the octagon less than a month later to face Brendan Allen in a catchweight bout. The two men seemed evenly matched, but we saw how Strickland began to put more weight behind his punches, while still moving away from danger almost every time he landed a single strike or combination. The long jab continued to set up the right, and despite some good moments from Allen, the volume and damage piled up until Allen just couldn't take any more.
With the work that he had. Nice combos from Sean though, look at that.
Power.
That got his attention though, that car kick.
Another jab. Good 1-2 on that one, Allen. Strickland trying to end it, and it does! Sean Strickland, wow!
The new and improved Strickland was once again on display against Krzysztof Jotko. Despite still not putting everything behind his punches, Strickland's power was very evident, and he was unloading the harder shots. A staple of Strickland's striking style is his evasiveness after each thrown attack, a tactic right out of boxing textbooks. In the second, he continued using his trusty 1-2 and head movement, while adding a nice kick here and there to edge further away on the scorecards. Strickland kept his stoic look and played to his strengths en route to his 4th win in a row.
Elbow stays where it is against his body. I'm sure I'll hear about it later.
Oh, out from the referee that catches your attention.
That's true. We're not in a gym. Luckily, we don't have a crowd.
I'll have to get you one.
Thanks.
I know 30 seconds of this one, another flying knee.
It's a dominating fight for Sean. Good performance. Back some good shots when he had to, but tonight was another good in these closing seconds. But unfortunately,
right there for the counter shot all the way. One final spinning attempt from Jotko.
Tarzan Strickland!
Oh, man, I'm a little annoyed I got hit with that elbow, man. That's kind of embarrassing, but whatever. You know, man, it's just like the way he fights, it's so hard to connect. And I'm not really necessarily a guy that comes forward. I like to kind of be in the phone booth. And just the way he was backing up, man, it made it way too hard to put some hands on him. Oh, I mean, he raised his hand. I told him he lost. Yeah, he's a good guy, dude, and I know I could be a and I have any man that shares the octagon with me, win or lose, I respect. You know, and sometimes I could come out like an arrogant but he has all my respect. You know, man, I just love being a UFC fighter. Like, every day I wake up and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for Dana White. I'm grateful for the fans. So it doesn't matter who it is. As long as I'm in that octagon, man, I'm happy. I don't care.
The Jotko win earned Sean his first main event spot against veteran Uriah Hall. Tarzan quickly set the pace with his slick jab and put Hall on the back foot. Hall, a deadly striker in his own right, looked to counter the jab on every occasion.
80% of them have been his jab.
Hall definitely has the advantage in knockout power.
I mean, Strickland, yeah, he's got Hall backing up. Michael Bisping, his incredible night of fights here in Vegas. By Uriah Hall.
Hall landed some leather in the second, but was quickly put in his place by a couple of combinations. Jab after jab, Strickland was winning the fight.
Going forward, the spinning attacks and things like that.
Middleweight in the UFC for Sean Strickland, but he started.
He's hurt.
Heavy takedown.
Hall then had to survive a very close call on the ground, but he did manage to see the end of the third.
Sean's posturing up.
By now, you might have noticed that Strickland's jabs do not return straight back to his face, but the timing, speed, and distance he throws them with leaves Hall and all the other opponents unable to meaningfully counter. In the fourth, Strickland even hurt Hall with a piston jab, but the former TUF winner survived again.
Goes in for a takedown.
Big knee.
In the last round, Hall tried to stage a comeback, but Sean's subtle head and shoulder movements kept him from harm. Undeterred, Strickland stuck to the basics and marched forward with punishing combinations to win a lopsided decision.
There's swelling on that left eye of Uriah Hall as well. I wonder how...
Nice right hand.
His first headliner in the UFC. Sean Strickland just put on a performance that proves that he belongs with the elite.
Sean Tarzan Strickland.
It was a pretty dominant performance out there tonight. I mean, you won every round, so what's the feel like right now?
I mean, I feel like I need to learn how to hit harder. Kind of hit like a pansy, you know, kind of sucked. They're like, you know, you won the middleweight striking record. It's like, what does that mean? I just can't hit that hard. I think after I'm done fighting, though, I'm going to go on a shroom journey. Everybody swears by shrooms, you know. My pad man, he's always trying to take me on a shroom journey. So maybe after I'm done fighting, you know, I don't know if I'll go meth, maybe acid or something. You know? But here's the thing, dude. If you don't have a lot of issues, go do drugs, have fun, enjoy life. But if you're a guy who has addictive personality, you know, you watch too much porn, whatever you have to do, stay away from drugs, you guys. It's going to your life up.
Is that your problem? Too much porn?
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're kidding me, I'm a man in the UFC. That's everyone's problem. You guys got to jerk off. Like I don't know if you're having sex on the regular, but like you got to jerk off once or twice a day, man. If you don't use it, you lose it. I'm also left-handed, so that's why my jab's so good.
Strickland is famous for calling wrestling a coward sport, but this does not stop him from training it and improving his takedown defense, which cost him 2 of his 3 losses by this point. In the fight against prolific wrestler Jack Hermanson, Sean was his calm self from the very beginning and took his time establishing the jab while defending the takedown attempts. Hermanson was forced to engage in the stand-up, where he was not suffering significant damage up until the very end of the second round.
I'm not afraid to stand and exchange. That's what he's doing.
And Strickland's using that double jab.
Well, stepping back, lowering his head. The thing is, in that Marshman fight, he had his number. He was picking him apart.
A minute to go, round 2. 5 seconds of round number 2. Oh! And right from Strickland.
Tarzan continued popping the Joker's face with the same straight shots that were landing all night long and staying just out of range to be hit.
Jack's gonna go again though, when he backs him up like that.
Trying to counter.
Once again.
Essentially winning this fight with a jab. Hey.
First 3 rounds with the jab. And again, that first round was close.
But this was never going to be how Jack Hermanson wins this fight.
Hermanson pushed the pedal in the fourth, but Sean's answer was more jabs and right straights to the face.
Moving just slightly out of the way. Cardio because he's always fighting.
Skilled opponent. I'd like to see him now. You've got the measure in the fight. Let's put a little sting on it now. Let's see some nastiness. Let's go for the finish. That's without question. And that's impressive against Hermanson.
I'll tell you there's no value there, but I don't have this many money.
It'd be a safe bet, I think.
Strickland has eclipsed the 100 mark.
That's about it. Nose.
You know?
Go down on the feet.
Use his jab.
For the world.
Come on.
Now Sean wants to throw it down.
There we go.
I said in the middle.
The split decision win inched Strickland closer to a potential title shot. Sean was supposed to be the big step up in competition for Alex Pereira, who was on the fast track to an epic showdown with his former kickboxing rival and UFC champion, Israel Adesanya. We all expected fireworks on the feet, but Strickland took the danger a bit too lightly, to say it modestly. Sean started the fight on the front foot, pushing the pace and trying to establish the jab. But his big mistake, which sparked the creation of more than a few memes, was calmly walking towards one of the deadliest strikers on the planet with his hands at his chest. The expected happened, and Pereira landed his touch of death left hook and a quick right hand for the heavy KO.
Well, that sucked. You never want to be someone's highlight, but that's a game we play. You know, I tried to stand and bang with one of the best kickboxers. During the round, I kept thinking, man, this is going to be an easy fight. I see everything this guy's throwing. I'm getting the better of the exchanges. I'm going to beat this guy up for 3 rounds. And then halfway through, I got caught. So hats off to Alex. He's a killer. And fans, thank you for supporting me. On to the next one. It's time to climb up the ladder again.
Strickland's level opposition certainly did not drop after the Pereira loss, and he shared the octagon with recent middleweight title challenger Jared Cannonier. The fight started technical, and mostly stayed this way the entire time. Sean used his usual pressure and even mixed in some grappling while Jared was a bit more efficient on the feet. The pace in the second remained steady, with Sean setting in behind his jab and starting to land his trademark 1-2s, one of which stung Cannonier, who in turn landed a solid right.
Pads, shin pads.
Big right from Cannonier.
In the third and fourth, the situation was similar, with Strickland landing more volume, while Cannonier's power shots drew a bigger reaction out of him.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Good check there from Strickland.
It's proven to be elusive.
At the start of the final stanza, the fight was there for the taking. Both men landed big shots and the striking totals were close, with the only visible damage being Sean's bloody nose. In the end, there was not a single round all 3 judges saw the same, which shows how even the match was.
There it is, Dom, that hook. Whoa! Now a big left.
You saw Dober have to do?
Perspective that you may not see.
Excuse me, when you go conventional, the right to nice.
Double jab.
And towards the end of the
Just wanted to see that there. Nice.
There's a nice 1-2 from Cannonier.
Cannonier's gonna have to eat it.
Cannonier still loading up.
Kick out of Strickland.
And they're just gonna throw to the horn. Strickland. And we go 25 minutes between.
For your winner by split decision, Jared, the Killer Gorilla Cannonier!
Sean managed to get back into the win column and wash the sour taste of losing off less than a month later. Nasruddin Imavov was originally slated to face Kelvin Gastelum, but instead fought Strickland, who came in on 4 days' notice. So the fight was held at 205 pounds instead of middleweight.
How did this fight come about then? I mean, have you been itching to get back in there because of this, or did they come to you?
God, no. I was currently planning a snowboarding trip, and then Mick calls me. I'm like, Mick is going to ask me to do something I don't want to do. We'll pay you a decent amount of money. And I said, well, God damn it, I'm Huckleberry. Let's go fight a man. I'm not going to try to say that name, man. Let's just call him the Frenchie. The Frenchie. And if we learned anything about the French, what are the French best at? Giving up. So.
Have you ever considered a job as a stand-up comedian at some point in your career?
No, man. I don't know. I look at people and I just like to make fun of you guys. I can't help it, you know?
This time, Sean corrected his mistake from the Cannonier fight and started the fight with urgency and aggression. He immediately asserted his style of boxing and started putting together 1-2s. In addition to his crisp boxing and a jab-heavy approach, Sean mixed in a healthy dose of kicks to keep Imavov at a distance.
But it is effective. See, like all this weird head movement. He's got to be careful, though.
Good timing.
How about that?
Beautiful timing on
Heat coming on these combinations from Imava. Imava starting to look for some of these bigger shots.
third instead of, ooh, got Strickland on that one. Hurt him.
Is that an elbow that got through there?
Heavy action in close as these two just stand right in the center.
What we practice too often. Unless you're Strickland.
Fourth main event. They've all come in the last 2 years or so.
Fatigue set in the last 2 rounds, but Strickland completely took over in the fourth, piecing up his younger opponent with jabs and crosses. The Frenchman showed determination in his first main event and landed some good elbows in the final round, but it was not enough, and all 3 judges scored the bout in favor of Sean.
Strickland still firing combinations. Strickland letting it all hang out. Final seconds, and you can't ask for more than that.
Sean Strickland!
It was a mysterious opponent called Abus Magomedov who faced Strickland at UFC Vegas 76. His UFC debut lasted only 19 seconds and was considered a very dangerous opponent despite being unranked. Magomedov started quickly with an offensive barrage of kicks before an eye poke in the opening 30 seconds slowed the action right back down. When the action resumed, Magomedov was tearing up Sean's lead leg and was having success with powerful hooks.
So far, but there's a head kick that gets through. All right, buddy. Took the entire time.
But once the bell for the second round rang, it was a different story. Strickland plodded forward and started landing heavy shots and backed up Magomedov into the fence, where he completely brutalized him.
Nice combination. Going to a shell. Just allows Sean to tee off. There's a good one too. Sean's very accurate now.
Level changes, look to clinch up.
He's going to be looking to see a third round.
Met off on the ropes.
Just throwing these straight shots. And
You wonder how much Magomedov has in return for Strickland.
And on the flip side, Sean Strickland's having a whale of a time.
Yeah, this 100 seconds
Sean is playing with those food a little bit.
That's it. It's done. It's over.
Continuing to hammer away.
Beautiful performance. That's his best performance yet.
Absolutely.
Sean Strickland!
Hey, the UFC is the one that pays me. But without you guys, I wouldn't get a check. And they paid me really good for this fight. And that's because of you fucking guys, so thank you. The moment my brain clicked and I was like, oh man, this guy can't box. And the B just came nose to nose and put it in a phone booth to do the man dance. But and that's where it is, well-rounded, man. I went and trained with Alex. I trained with undefeated boxers. You know, I can fight anywhere. And if you're better than me somewhere, I'll take the fight somewhere else.
I've heard you say in interviews that you love fighting, you hate fighting. But the way you fight with something else. Where do you fight from?
You see people go through their life and it's boring, it sucks. Every day they wake up in routine, they go to the job, they sit by the pool, they grab a beer, they drink, and they're just waiting to die. I love what I do. It's scary, it sucks, man, but you're in there and it's like, it's meaningful. It's the only kind of meaning that we have in our life. It's real. Guys get hurt, guys can bleed. Like, it's something so primitive that, like, as much as I hate being in there and I think it shortens my life because the mental mindset, man, like, it is the only time I feel like I'm alive. It's the only time that I feel like I'm just not waiting to die when I'm in there fighting. Even though I hate it, it gives me purpose.
You know, the critics and analysts say that you're not a finisher. You don't finish fights. How good did it feel to go out there and finish this guy?
You guys, I don't hit hard, man. I'll be the first one to play, man. I don't hit hard, but I hit a lot. I hit a lot. The best thing about him is I didn't have to finish him. He just wanted to go home. So thank you for not thank you for not relying on the knockout. So every time they've tried to bring new blood, the Frenchie I fought before, I sent him home. This guy, I sent him back. Every time they try to bring new blood in, I sent him back. Give me the title, I earned it.
In the strange world of MMA, Favorable circumstances can create some peculiar matchups, and after 2 wins against unranked opponents, Sean Strickland will challenge for the middleweight title, which promises to be wildly entertaining regardless of the result. Sean Strickland is known for his interviews as much as he is for his fighting. Where others might say the correct thing, Sean says exactly what is on his mind, and this rubs a lot of people the wrong way, but we are thankful for it. And if you are not a fan of his honesty and views, you can just enjoy and appreciate his head-up boxing one-on-one style of using the jab to set up the right, executed at the highest level of MMA.
Video, sir.
So USADA randomly showed up, and they're waiting for me to take a piss, but they came up while I was shooting.